March 29, 1994. St Kilda, Melbourne. A 24-year-old woman named Samantha Mizzi, a mother of two from Castlemaine, steps off a bus into the night. She's seeking work to support her children, leaving them in the care of a friend. That evening, she is seen speaking to a man near Blanche Street. Hours later, residents report hearing screams. By 11 p.m., Samantha is found severely injured in bushes along Brighton Road. She succumbs to her injuries the next morning. Her attacker vanishes without a trace. For 31 years, the case remains unsolved. Then in August 2025, a breakthrough. A 67-year-old man is arrested in Ararat, charged with her murder and rape. What happened that night? Who was the man she spoke to? And why did it take over 3 decades to find justice? Tonight, we delve into the haunting mystery of Samantha Mizzi's death. March 29, 1994 began like any ordinary day in St Kilda, Melbourne, but as the sun set that evening, a tragedy was unfolding, one that would send ripples through the community and remain unresolved for over 3 decades. Samantha Mizzi, a 24-year-old mother of 2, had traveled to Melbourne from Castlemaine to look for work, leaving her children in the care of a friend. She had been striving for a better future for herself and her children, looking for job opportunities to make ends meet. On that fateful night, Samantha made her way through the streets of St Kilda, a place she was unfamiliar with, and perhaps it was that unfamiliarity that would ultimately make her an easy target. At around 10:30 p.m., a few blocks away from her location, residents near Blanche Street reported hearing screams. The neighborhood was relatively quiet at the time, so the sound of someone in distress stood out. Yet, no one immediately thought much of it, until the unthinkable happened. Just after 11 p.m., a passerby walking along Brighton Road noticed something disturbing. A woman's body was found partially concealed in the bushes behind a property on the street. It was Samantha. She was barely alive, her body severely battered, with signs of violent assault. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but despite their best efforts, Samantha was unable to survive her injuries. She passed away the following morning, leaving behind her children and family in a state of devastation. Samantha had been brutally attacked, her clothing removed, and her personal belongings stolen. There were signs of a sexual assault, and the scene was one of chaos. Investigators quickly launched an extensive search for evidence, hoping to find any clue that could point them to the killer. But the most chilling detail was that no one knew who had done this. Earlier that evening, witnesses had spotted Samantha talking to a man near Blanche Street, just a short walk away from where her body was discovered. Several neighbors recalled seeing the two speaking, though no one knew exactly what they had been talking about. He was described as a man in his 40s, of average height, about 182 centimeters tall, with short gray hair that was combed to the left. He wore a light-colored zip-up jacket and slacks, but beyond this description, nothing was clear. Who was this man? What was his connection to Samantha? Could he be the person responsible for her death? The more investigators learned about this interaction, the more puzzling it became. The man seemed to have disappeared into the night, vanishing without a trace, just as quickly as Samantha herself had disappeared from the streets of St Kilda. Despite intense efforts to track him down, police could not identify the man. And without further evidence, the investigation began to stall. In the days following the murder, detectives focused on piecing together the last moments of Samantha's life. Yet even as they searched for any clue, whether a fingerprint, a strand of hair, or anything that could tie the attack to a particular person, the murder weapon remained missing. No weapon was found, and there were no other witnesses to corroborate the timeline. How could someone commit such a horrific crime in the middle of the night in a relatively populated area and vanish without leaving a significant trace? It was as if the killer had planned every detail carefully, knowing exactly how to avoid detection. Despite the police's best efforts to track down leads, the case grew colder by the day. Samantha's family was left to grapple with an unbearable uncertainty, and the community at large struggled to come to terms with the violent death of a woman they didn't even know. Months turned into years and Samantha's murder faded from the headlines. The case became another unsolved mystery, one that haunted her family, her children, and the detectives who had once been so hopeful of finding justice. How could such an atrocious act have gone unpunished for so long? Was there a chance that Samantha's killer was still out there, living among them, perhaps unaware that the truth was slowly drawing closer? 31 years would pass before the case would make headlines again, not as a cold case, but as one that was about to be solved in a way no one could have predicted. What had gone wrong in the investigation? Was there something the police missed in their initial search for evidence? And, more hauntingly, who was the man who had spoken to Samantha that night? Could he have been someone Samantha had trusted? Or was he a complete stranger? The answers to these questions would soon emerge, but they wouldn't come easily. In the coming years, the case would be reopened, and a breakthrough would occur that would ultimately reveal the truth behind Samantha's death. But who would be caught, and what had really happened on that dark night in St Kilda? Stay with us as we continue to unravel the mystery and follow the trail that has led us to a stunning revelation, one that would bring justice after decades of waiting. What happened during those hours? Who was the man she was last seen speaking to? What could have driven someone to commit such a heinous crime? And most importantly, why did it take over 3 decades to uncover the truth? Despite an intense investigation, the case quickly turned cold. For the family, it was an agonizing wait for answers. Detectives scoured through the evidence, questioning witnesses and analyzing every lead, but the killer seemed to vanish into thin air. The police sketches of the suspect, a man described as Caucasian in his 40s, around 182 centimeters tall, yielded no significant breakthroughs. The murder weapon was never found. It was as if Samantha's killer had simply disappeared, leaving no trace. The months turned to years and then decades. The case was revisited several times, but with no fresh leads, it was marked as a cold case. And yet, the memories of Samantha's tragic end were never fully erased from the minds of those who knew her. Her family, her son, Stephen, who was just a child at the time of her death, carried the weight of her loss. For them there was no closure, no sense of justice. Just an endless, unanswered question. Who killed Samantha Mizzi? In the years following Samantha's murder, the police department never fully closed the case. They knew there was still hope. With new advancements in forensic science, cold cases across the world were beginning to see new life. Could new technology uncover the truth hidden in the cold, stale evidence? In 2025, after a renewed push from the Victoria Police Homicide Squad, the case was re-examined. Detective Inspector Dean Thomas of the Victoria Police Homicide Squad confirmed in an interview, "Sometimes justice takes time. But we won't rest until we find the answers." The squad spent months revisiting evidence, rechecking witness statements, and employing new forensic techniques that were unavailable during the initial investigation. "We never forgot about this case," Detective Thomas continued. "Every piece of evidence we have is important, and we are committed to finding the truth, no matter how long it takes." And then, in August 2025, after years of painstaking work, it happened. The breakthrough that would change everything. Police arrested a 67-year-old man in Ararat, Victoria, in connection with Samantha Mizzi's murder. This shocking development came more than 3 decades after the crime. The suspect, whose name was not immediately revealed due to a suppression order, was charged with both the rape and murder of Samantha Mizzi. The arrest was a culmination of years of work, using new DNA testing methods and advancements in forensic science that had made it possible to connect the dots that had remained elusive for so long. The arrest sent shockwaves through the public. The very man who had evaded justice for over 30 years was now facing the consequences of his actions. But questions lingered. Who was he? Why did it take so long to find him? And how did new evidence finally point to him as the killer? The accused man from Ararat was remanded in custody and faced Melbourne Magistrates' Court for his arraignment. While his name remains suppressed by the court, police have confirmed that he was known to Samantha in some capacity. Was this a random act of violence, or did they share a connection? Could this have been something more personal than a mere stranger attack? The community was divided. Many had long suspected that this case would eventually be solved, but no one could have predicted the identity of the man now facing trial. There was a sense of relief within Samantha's family, but also a deep sense of sadness. How many years had been lost? How many days did they spend wondering when or even if justice would be served? Samantha's son, Stephen, who was only a child when his mother was murdered, expressed the pain of knowing that the arrest did little to erase the decades of heartache. "It's not going to bring her back," Stephen said in an emotional interview, "but at least we know that justice is coming for her." The family's emotions are understandable. What does closure even mean when your loved one has been taken so violently? What does it mean when you've had to live without answers for over 3 decades? Yet, even with the arrest, the mystery surrounding Samantha's death is far from over. What was the key piece of evidence that led police to this man? What drove him to commit such a horrific crime? And why did it take so long for justice to catch up to him? Samantha's killer may have been arrested, but the questions remain. Was this truly a random attack, or was there more to the story? What do you think? Could the police have solved this case sooner? And how do you feel about the process of justice? Does it bring true closure to the families who've waited so long? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. The investigation is ongoing, and authorities are urging anyone who may have more information to come forward. Could there be other pieces to the puzzle still waiting to be discovered? If you want to stay updated on this case and hear more about other chilling mysteries like this one, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us bring you more in-depth stories and give a voice to those seeking justice. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the truths hidden in plain sight. This wasn't just any arrest. It was the arrest of a man whose identity had been hidden for over 3 decades. The arrest was the result of a meticulous and years-long investigation, and it raised questions that would echo through the entire case. How did police finally track him down after all these years? What led them to him? And most chilling of all, who was this man who had eluded justice for so long? The arrest came as a shock to both the public and the Mizzi family. In fact, little was known about this man at first. Authorities kept his identity under wraps, which only deepened the mystery. What did we know about him? He was 67 years old at the time of his arrest, making him 40 when Samantha Mizzi was murdered in 1994. That would have put him in the prime of his life, fit, active, and perhaps living quietly under the radar in regional Victoria, far from the watchful eyes of the city. His arrest took place in Ararat, a small rural town located about 200 kilometers from Melbourne. Ararat itself, a place where people tend to know each other, was far removed from the bustling streets of St Kilda where Samantha had been attacked. It seemed improbable that a man like this would have stayed hidden for so long. But it's important to understand, people like this don't leave large footprints behind. They live under the radar, blending into their surroundings. And for years he did just that. But why now? Why after 31 years did this man, this nameless suspect, suddenly become the target of a renewed investigation? The answer lies in the unrelenting work of investigators who refused to let the case slip into the past, no matter how cold it had become. After the initial efforts to solve the case yielded no results, the investigation fell silent for a long time. However, in recent years, new forensic technologies, along with a renewed public interest, led police to revisit old evidence. As detectives dug deeper into the case, they uncovered something that reignited the investigation. A small but pivotal clue that had been missed the first time around. It was this new lead that eventually pointed them to Ararat and, ultimately, to the man who had managed to avoid detection for over 3 decades. Though the suspect's name has not been publicly released, his arrest provided a much-needed answer to the grieving family who had been left with nothing but the painful question: who killed Samantha Mizzi? For the Mizzi family, this was the moment they had been waiting for, though their journey was far from over. Police have revealed little about the details of the suspect's life. What we do know is that he had lived in Ararat for many years, seemingly blending in with the small town's population. Authorities have not disclosed whether he had any prior connections to Samantha Mizzi or whether he had ever been a suspect in the early stages of the investigation. Did he have a criminal history that somehow went unnoticed? Or was he simply an ordinary man who had found a way to hide his dark secret? The arrest itself is one of those rare moments in a cold case investigation when everything shifts. You see, the process of solving a cold case isn't just about discovering new evidence. It's about piecing together the fragments of a puzzle that others may have overlooked. It's about connecting dots that seem too distant to relate. The way this case was finally solved speaks to the tireless efforts of investigators, but it also raises more questions. Why did this man, after all these years, suddenly find himself under the scrutiny of the law? And most importantly, what motivated him to commit such a brutal act? The man charged with Samantha's murder is due to appear in court soon. What will the evidence reveal? Will there be new revelations in the trial? Will the truth about his actions finally come to light? This arrest, though a monumental step in the pursuit of justice, has only opened the door to even more unanswered questions. The man's connections, his past, and the exact role he played in Samantha's tragic death. None of this is fully understood. But one thing is clear. He is at the center of this unsolved tragedy, and justice is finally within reach. Was he the lone assailant that night, or was there more to this crime than anyone ever realized? Did he act alone, or was there someone else who helped him evade justice for so many years? And could more individuals be involved in Samantha's death? As we await the unfolding of the trial, we can only speculate about what the coming days will reveal. Samantha's family, who have endured so much in silence, will finally get the answers they have been seeking for more than 3 decades. We may soon find out exactly how this man fits into the dark, twisted puzzle of Samantha Mizzi's death. But, as always in true crime, there is always more to the story than meets the eye. Stay with us. In the next segment, We'll explore the crucial evidence that led to this arrest and what it could mean for the future of the investigation. The case may be far from over, but with this key arrest, the wheels of justice are finally turning. When the news broke on August 14, 2025, that a 67-year-old man had been arrested in Ararat and charged with the 1994 rape and murder of Samantha Mizzi, the ripples of shock and relief were felt far beyond the confines of a courtroom. For Samantha's family, it was a moment that stirred decades of grief and longing. Her son, Stephen Mizzi, now an adult, expressed a mixture of gratitude and sorrow outside the Melbourne Magistrates Court. "We're very grateful this person's in custody. We've got a long journey ahead." But what does it mean for a family to wait 31 years for justice? To live with the uncertainty of an unsolved murder, hoping each day that the truth would emerge? The emotional toll is immeasurable. The unanswered questions, the sleepless nights, the constant wondering, why her? Why now? The community of Castlemaine, where Samantha had lived before moving to Melbourne, also felt the weight of this revelation. Her decision to leave her children in the care of a friend and seek work in the city was a testament to her dedication as a mother. Yet that very act led to her untimely death. The community, once a place of refuge, became a haunting reminder of a life cut short. Detective Inspector Dean Thomas of the Victoria Police emphasized that this case serves as a beacon of hope for other cold cases. It shows that progress can be made on cases, even after decades have passed, and that we can begin the process of providing families with long-needed answers. But as the legal proceedings unfold, questions linger. Why did it take over 3 decades to bring charges? What led to the breakthrough in the investigation? And perhaps most poignantly, what does justice look like for a family that has waited so long? As we delve deeper into the legal journey ahead, we will explore these questions and more. Stay with us. If you believe in the power of justice and the importance of remembering those we've lost, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story. Your support helps us continue to bring these important narratives to light. The journey of Samantha Mizzi's case is far from over. As the legal process continues, the quest for truth and justice marches on. At Melbourne Magistrates Court, the accused is remanded in custody, awaiting a court appearance in December. The investigation remains ongoing, with police urging the public to contact Crime Stoppers with any information. Samantha's son, Stephen Mizzi, expresses gratitude for the arrest but acknowledges the long journey ahead. "We're going to take some time as a family to process everything," he says. The case raises questions about the challenges of prosecuting decades-old crimes. How will the prosecution build a case with evidence from over 30 years ago? What challenges will the defense present? And most importantly, will justice be served for Samantha Mizzi and her family? As the legal proceedings unfold, the public watches closely, hoping that this long unsolved case will finally bring closure. The arrest of a 67-year-old man from Ararat in August 2025 for the 1994 murder and rape of Samantha Mizzi marks a significant milestone in the realm of cold case investigations. This breakthrough not only brings justice closer for Samantha's family but also underscores the evolving landscape of forensic science and investigative persistence. Detective Inspector Dean Thomas emphasized that no case is ever too old to solve, highlighting the unwavering commitment of law enforcement to seek justice, regardless of the time elapsed. The resolution of Samantha Mizzi's case mirrors a broader trend where advancements in forensic technology and persistent investigative efforts have led to the closure of numerous cold cases. For instance, in 2018, the murder of Harvard graduate student Jane Britton, who was killed in 1969, was solved through DNA analysis, identifying Michael Sumter as the perpetrator. Similarly, the 1981 murder of Marcia King, known as the Buckskin Girl, remained unsolved until 2018 when DNA analysis and genetic genealogy identified her as Marcia Lenore Sossaman from Arkansas. These cases exemplify the transformative power of modern forensic techniques, such as DNA sequencing and genetic genealogy, in solving crimes that had long been considered unsolvable. Organizations like the DNA Doe Project have played a pivotal role in identifying victims and perpetrators, bringing closure to families and communities affected by unsolved crimes. However, the resolution of cold cases also raises pertinent questions about the limitations of the justice system. While advancements in forensic science have led to the identification of perpetrators, many of these individuals have passed away, leaving families with a sense of justice without the opportunity for a trial. For example, Michael Sumter, identified as the murderer of Jane Britton, died in 2001, and Bernard Sharp, identified as the killer of Terry McAdams in 1985, committed suicide in 1985. Moreover, the identification of perpetrators through genetic genealogy raises ethical considerations regarding privacy and consent. The use of public genealogy databases to identify suspects has sparked debates about the balance between solving crimes and protecting individual privacy rights. These discussions are crucial as forensic technologies continue to advance and become more integrated into criminal investigations. The case of Samantha Mizzi serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of perseverance in the pursuit of justice. It underscores the necessity for continued investment in forensic science and the value of public cooperation in solving crimes. As Detective Inspector Thomas aptly stated, "No case is ever too old to solve," a sentiment that should inspire both law enforcement and the public to remain vigilant and committed to uncovering the truth, regardless of the time that has passed. In conclusion, while the resolution of cold cases like that of Samantha Mizzi brings a sense of closure, it also prompts reflection on the evolving nature of justice and the ethical considerations that accompany advancements in forensic science. As we move forward, it is imperative to balance the pursuit of justice with the protection of individual rights, ensuring that the tools used to solve crimes do not inadvertently infringe upon the freedoms they aim to protect. The arrest of a 67-year-old man from Ararat on August 14, 2025, marked a pivotal moment in the relentless pursuit of justice for Samantha Mizzi. For over 3 decades, her family grappled with the agonizing uncertainty of her untimely death. Her son, Stephen Mizzi, expressed a mixture of relief and sorrow outside the Melbourne Magistrates Court, stating, "We're very grateful this person's in custody. We're going to take some time as a family to process everything. We've got a long journey ahead." The accused, whose identity remains protected due to a suppression order, faces charges of murder and 2 counts of rape. Court documents reveal that he had previously been convicted of multiple sex offenses and was labeled a serious danger to the community by a judge in 1998 for molesting and abducting a 10-year-old girl. His arrest underscores the unwavering commitment of Victoria Police to hold perpetrators accountable, regardless of the time elapsed. Detective Inspector Dean Thomas emphasized, "It doesn't matter how many years have passed, detectives remain committed to holding those who are involved in violent crimes to account." It also shows that progress can be made on cases, even after decades have passed, and that we can begin the process of providing families with long-needed answers. As the legal proceedings unfold, the Mizzi family faces the daunting task of confronting the man accused of taking their loved one. Their journey, marked by years of unanswered questions, now enters a new chapter, one where the pursuit of justice continues and the hope for closure remains steadfast. This case serves as a poignant reminder that justice, though delayed, can still be achieved. It underscores the importance of perseverance, the value of community support, and the unwavering belief that no case is ever too old to be solved. As we reflect on Samantha Mizzi's story, we are reminded of the countless others whose voices have been silenced, whose stories remain untold. May her case inspire continued efforts to seek truth, deliver justice, and honor the memory of those lost too soon. We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, theories, and any information you might have in the comments below. Your voice could be the key to unlocking another long-forgotten case. Thank you for joining us in remembering Samantha Mizzi and honoring the pursuit of justice. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth investigations into the cases that matter.